Okay, well, hi, y'all. It is a beautiful day here, about the end of March, the last few days of March. Just glorious, warm, no wind for a change, and thank goodness, because it may take us forever to get all the dirt cleaned up that's been blowing on us. But we're going to talk about eggs today. We're going to talk about good eggs, bad eggs. We're going to talk about how to figure out if eggs are good or bad. And when it comes down to it, the best way to find out is just break them open and see. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and just know that this video was done over the last few months, just kind of a piece at a time, and I'm just now sort of putting a beginning on it, and then I'll tie it up at the end a little bit. And so that's just how it goes sometimes. You get busy and things don't happen like they should. So anyway, here we go. All right, good morning, y'all. This little video here, this clip of it is probably going to be part of a larger video, but I'm going to put this one on my Patreon channel for those of you that are loving and kind enough to have subbed up to that, and which I appreciate. But what I was going to talk about was eggs. What I've got here is eggs, good eggs and bad eggs. And the bad eggs are not real bad eggs, but they're, you know, a little bit bad. They're not perfect eggs. Of course, I sloshed them over the edge there. That was pretty great because I put too many in that bowl. But that right there is how many eggs I had to crack in order to get 5 or 6 eggs that I wanted to eat. Now, like I say, these eggs here, you know, they're not great. They aren't, the truth though, I mean, there's no off smell to them. You know, they're probably fine, but I didn't want to eat them like that. And that's the way it goes. I know that most people probably know this, but we'll talk about it anyway. When you go out and gather eggs from your chicken pens, unless you are diligent and you gather them every day, there's a fairly good chance, and even if you do gather them every day, there's a fairly good chance that once in a while you're going to come across a clutch of eggs that you didn't know was there. It kind of caught you off guard, maybe caught you by surprise a little bit. And when you go to gather those eggs, a lot of them you don't know how long they've been there. And so it's kind of like rolling the dice, like spinning the roulette wheel. You know, sometimes all of them are okay, sometimes none of them are okay. More often than not, though, I'm sitting there moving stuff around while I'm doing it. I'm in my kitchen, of course, and Miss Happy Hair is probably not going to be real happy about me showing the counter when it's kind of cluttered up like this. But sometimes it gets that way. But the trick is, these right here are the eggs that we are pretty much sure are good, the ones that we do gather every day. But I went and gathered up some hens from a friend's house that moved out, and they didn't want them anymore. And when I got there, there was 2 or 3 pretty good sized piles of eggs. And so I gathered them all up because they weren't being set on actively, although I suspect they were set on for a little bit, which explains why some of the eggs in here were kind of like they were. Now, I didn't break out a baby chick or anything with feathers or even anything that had really formed, but I don't know how long they've been there. And so some of the yolks were not real pretty, and the whites were not real white, and so that's how it works. When you break eggs, you always have one container that you break the egg into to start with, and then the other container that you put the egg in after you know it's good. If you just go haphazardly cracking eggs and dumping them in with everything else, ultimately you will get one that's nasty, and it just taints the whole batch of eggs, and you got to throw them all out, or, you know, toughen up and eat them anyway. The other day, I cracked an egg right here on that very spot right there. And when I cracked that egg, it blew up. It was a bad, nasty egg. It blew pieces of eggshell 6 or 8 feet in different directions and stank. Oh my gosh, it smelled bad. It smelled awful. And so it didn't get added. Yeah, it was a good reminder. Yeah, it was a good reminder of why I do things that way. But anyway, whenever you get eggs, don't be afraid. Hey, in an SHTF kind of thing, those eggs right there would be just fine. They really would. If you're hungry, they're not going to hurt you. The taste probably on these guys here won't be off, but you know, it's one of those things. And you know, I've got enough eggs I can be picky, and so I was picky and did it that way. Anyway, though, just thought that'd be a good thing to share. Coming out to feed the chickens this morning. pull the flat back on the feed. I did not ask you. Come on, get me. Grief, cats. When I pull the thing back, you never know where you're going to find eggs. Hens, that's the thing about it. They'll lay just about anywhere, and further proof of that. So I pull this back and I see these guys. Now, I don't know how long they've been there, or even which hen laid them, because I'm not sure which of our hens is laying the Easter egg, if you want to call them that. But we're going to gather them. They're probably good because it's been nice and cool. They've been in the shade, kind of tucked into the grain there. And so my guess is they're all going to be good, but you never know, because they could have been there for a while. It is mid-March right now, and I haven't seen one of these kind of eggs in quite a while. So who knows? Anyway, we're going to gather them up, and we're going to put them in here with some store-bought eggs I've got, which are questionable. Maybe not even so questionable, because yeah, that one, this guy here, okay, there we go, he came loose, he was stuck. Yeah, that doesn't look real encouraging. Kind of a little bit of nastiness in there. So here in a bit, when we go to test these, I was going to do a float test on these, because that just seems the thing to do. People talk about that, and I'm not a big believer in float testing. I never float test eggs, but I'm just going to do this for the purpose of demonstration. But in the meantime, we're going to gather these guys, and we'll take them with us, and we will go see what we've got. And we're not going to do it. The whole thing that led me to this is the other day I broke one of these store-bought eggs, and when I broke it, it blew up. It was that bad. And of course it stank up. Yes, thank you. And of course it stank up the whole kitchen and made a mess, and I had to clean it up, and dadgum. You know, an interesting thing, we rarely have that happen with our eggs that we get from our chickens here. Farm eggs, if you want to call them that. Store-bought eggs go bad fairly quick. My guess is because they get washed and cleaned, and they don't have their protective coating on them anymore. But the most often cause of eggs going bad is they just dry up. Yeah, yuck. I wish I had something to kind of soak that mess up a little, but I don't. So anyway, all right, I'll come back here in a second, get set up, and we'll fill up a thing with water, and we'll do a float test. What are you upset about, dude? I can't see any reason for you to be unhappy about anything. And I don't have anything for you, so you might as well bugger off, as they say. All right, anyway, we'll be back in a few minutes. Well, we'll be back in a moment for y'all. Okay, hopefully the wind noise isn't too bad. Just another typical day here in the south edge of the Panhandle of Texas. So we got the eggs here. We're going to do float testing now. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that these three right here have a chance. This one doesn't, and all of these should be fine. Now, the idea is that if the eggs are bad, that they float. That's what they say, because the thing is as an egg sits around, it dries up. That shell is air permeable, which means the air can get through it. So the egg material, the yolk and the white, dry out after a while, and then the egg has more air in it. So we're just going to start putting them in here. That one floats. That one floats. That one floats. This nasty thing here probably pop right out of the water. Oh yeah, that one floats high, so we know that one is no good at all. So now, let's put it over here. Now we'll do these guys that I just gathered. They sink to the bottom. So yeah, okay. Can you see that? Yeah, all of them, all of the green ones. Well, no, this green one right here actually floats a little bit. So those 6 we figure are okay. We'll save those for last. The green floaty we're going to do first. Now what we're going to do is we're going to keep these eggs. So I'm going to put them in a container here, and then I'll take them in and put them in the freezer. I got to make sure nothing blows away. And again, man, I hope the wind noise is not going to be a problem here. I won't know. Come back here. Put one of these in there just to hold it. And we're going to start, throw my sleeves up a little there. We're going to start with this green one that does float. Move it over there. We're going to break it, and we'll break it on the wood right here. Set that there. And crack it in. Again, let me make sure we can actually see here what's going on. Take that out, set that there. We'll crack it right there. Oh yeah, see that egg floated a little bit, but it is okay. It's drying out. See how it's stuck there a little bit? That's in fact, there may have been a crack in the shell, but that's an indication that it's starting to dry out. So we're good to go with that one. All right, now, man, I hate to do this. All right, it's going to be potentially a bad deal. We're going to move this out of the way and this out of the way, and we're going to crack this. And my guess is, wow, I don't know if you can hear that. I can feel it rattling in there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to toss this one right over on the ground, kind of where the sleeping dog is there. And all right, it didn't pop, but it is completely nasty. I'm going to take you over here and show you. It is kind of a putrid white looking stuff that is just not good at all. So we know that egg was bad. But we knew that one for a couple of reasons, not necessarily because it floated. Okay, so we got one egg that floated. That was okay. Now let's go for the other white eggs. We're going to break them and see what we got with those guys. That's not cats. All right, here we go. Did I get it where we can see the breakage? You know, videography is not my strongest point in life. There we go. Now we can see, let me bring this back over here a little closer. See, now that yolk being a little bit like that, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just a broken egg yolk is all that is. So, all right, here's this guy. Nope, this egg is completely bad. So there was a floater that's bad. I'm not even going to separate that. You can see the green inside of there. Completely nasty. Do another one. I figured these were all not going to be good. I thought they had a chance at least, but now this one's okay. Yep, that one's okay. Give it the sniff test. Yep, smells like an egg. All right, one more of the floating white ones, the floating store-bought eggs, and didn't blow up on me. That's a good sign. And I'm seeing kind of a green color here, so another bad one. So right now we are 2 for 2 for floating eggs. 2 that were bad, 2 that weren't. All right, let's go now for a good green one of the ones that wasn't floating. This one, I'm not sure. This one, okay, this is an interesting one. This one right here is probably okay, but the way that egg yolk looks tells me it was frozen. Sniff test doesn't test it bad, but I'm not going to use it just because. So we're going to put that one in that batch there. Let's go for another one. And I think this one's going to be, yep, same thing on this one. It's been frozen. It's probably fine. In fact, I think that one is fine. We're going to add this one to the batch there. Now, something I'm noticing here, it looks like these eggs may have been set for a little bit, like a hen was going to try to hatch them out. And so that probably affected them a little bit, but not, there we go, not bad enough to keep you from eating them. This is some of these. Yep, same kind of thing. This one is a little bit more developed, so we're not going to go with that one. And by more developed, let me show you what I mean here. You can see that little bit of growth going right there. That was the beginning of a chicken wanting to hatch. Now, again, completely good. I mean, think about it. We eat fried chicken, right? So Fried chicken is fried chicken all the way from the very first stages of an egg to the very last stages of when it's a chicken. All right, see what we got here. My guess is going to be, yep, same thing, same thing. Now this one actually has a little bit of a blood vein back in there. I don't know if you can see it from there, along with that growth that's going right there. So again, we're going to pass on that one. And the last one, almost certainly going to be the same thing. Turn it upside down, which is the deeper part there. Yep, same thing. I don't see much growth on this one, but I can see where it's been frozen and kind of distorted the yolk a little bit. So we're going to pass on that one. So out of the batch, we got 3 that I'm comfortable with. Now, if at times were bad, especially if times were real bad, I would have been okay with most of those. They would have been eatable just fine. But there's a difference between eatable. I lied, there's one left. There's a difference between eatable and palatable, appetizing, in other words. All right, what we got here? Yeah, this one, same thing. Again, a little bit further than we want. So there we go. So those will all go into the compost pile. Now, I'm not going to feed them to the chickens because I don't want them learning to eat eggs, the ones that don't. And I'm not going to feed them to dogs or cats because I don't want them learning to eat eggs. That's not good when they do that. But there we go. I may freeze those and I may go in and cook them up. It's hard to say. Don't know what I'll do. But that's how it works with floating eggs. So we'll put some of this up and then maybe come back and wrap up with some final thoughts here. Okay, so there you have it. And that hopefully gives you something to work with. When you boil it all down, the best way to do it, break them open and find out. But be aware that sometimes you may come up with a bad egg. It really doesn't happen very often to us, but it has been known to happen. What have I got? Oh, I got something in my pocket here, yeah. Another repair project. Best way to do it, always remember this. When you're breaking eggs, especially if they're farm eggs or fresh eggs that somebody's giving you or whatever else, break them into one bowl. If it's good, put it in a separate bowl. If it's bad, have something else to put that in, and then put it in your garden or feed it to your animals, or do whatever you think. Who knows, there's probably people that know how to take bad eggs and make some kind of skin treatment out of it. I'm not one of those people. But anyway, that's it. Eggs are great. Eggs, isn't it weird how eggs seem to be more important than they used to? And don't believe everything you hear about whether eggs are good for you or bad for you, because I know people that ate lots of eggs all the way till they were old and they were not unhealthy. In fact, it's starting to turn out the eggs are completely and entirely way more healthy than anybody ever wanted you to believe. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. And let me know what you think in the comments if you have good ideas or what. There's a couple of people that know good ways of preserving eggs longer by water glassing them or doing whatever else. I don't know a lot about that. We don't usually have a problem with having to keep eggs forever. Once in a while we're blessed and they have to last, but not all the time. So anyway, if you got ideas, let us know in the comments and we will thank you for it. So cheers, y'all.